All right, good afternoon. Welcome to the Cannabis World Congress and Business Expo live stream, where we bring you the latest and greatest for the industry every week at 4 p.m. and have you on your way by 4:20. And happy 4:20 to all those out there watching. Uh, you will see that this is not Redman that we have in our queue, but she is even better. This is his sister, and we will track him down at some point. I promise you, we will have Redman on the show. He's on West Coast, and maybe something got lost in translation on the whole 420 thing. Anyway, Sephida, thank you so much for being here. We love having you. And
Absolutely.
we are so looking forward to having you back at CWCBExpo. Last year, y'all were out there. Redman was our keynote, and you guys really kind of unveiled the United Empowerment Party. Can you tell us all a bit more about the party and what you guys are really hoping to achieve?
Yes. United Empowerment Party, a political party, of course, that is registered with the Federal Elections Commission. And our mission for creating the party in the first place was to pretty much create our own table and decide who gets to sit down at our table when it comes to representation for cannabis. And we felt like because of the politics that surround cannabis and all of the policy and regulation that's being built around the industry, there needed to be someone to really represent cannabis, the cannabis medicine, as well as the community, and kind of bridging that divide between elected officials and all of those that are in the community, because we feel like there's a lot of decisions being made, but not real conversation is happening with the community.
Why do you think that is? Do you think that the officials don't know where the community is? They don't know who to talk to, or they just aren't interested in really our opinions?
I think it's kind of a mix of both. And I think the reason why some are not interested, because I don't think they understand enough about it. And I think because the stigma still exists and because it's still federally illegal, it's almost still kind of taboo, which is really crazy that we're in 2023 and we're still having this conversation. So I think that they need to definitely be talking to the right people, and they need to meet the community where they are. And that's the only way that you're going to really be able to create sound policy, by understanding what the needs are and also addressing how prohibition impacted communities that were disproportionately harmed.
Now, I know that you guys have been hard at work for the past year. And one of the things that you guys did get done was the Technical Assistance Program in New Jersey.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit more about that project?
Yes. So the technical assistance program, we're really proud of that program. It took about 9 months for us to work on that with the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission. Sorry for all the noise. I'm outside in New York. so, uh, the New Jersey CRC, which was the project, was headed by Wesley McWhite, who is the executive director over DEI at New Jersey CRC, which has always been really amazing with connecting with the community, getting with people to kind of see what's going on, see the pulse of the community, and get with those that are in the legacy community as well. So we worked on that program to be able to get approved a conditional licensing program in the state of New Jersey for legacy, as well as others that are that fall under the umbrella of equity empowerment. So the part of the program, it allows them to get mentorship, business training, education, as well as up to $250,000 in grant money, which I think is amazing, because you're starting them off without utilizing debt to be able to fund their business. So I think it's really important to find different ways to be inclusive and provide resources and capital that most of these license holders are going to need.
Now, New Jersey, it's got a little more of a head start over New York, but they're both really just kind of coming online now. Uh, did you see this as a real issue for folks that are entering the space, that they don't have the support that they need?
Say that again, Gretchen.
With New Jersey and New York, we have a bunch of new license holders, folks coming into the space. Did you feel that they really needed a leg up, a little help with the support to really get their businesses started?
No, absolutely. For one, I think that, I mean, creating a business is a task, and it's a lot that goes into it. And I think that, especially in an industry like this that still has so many restrictions, you've got packaging that has to be specific, and then you have other rules and regulations that's going to impact their business depending on where they're licensed, because every legal state is different. So I think providing those resources, most specifically mentorship and coaching, and pretty much giving people a better understanding of how to navigate this space in building their business. I think that's the most important part which falls under the line of education. So if you're going to set these businesses up for success, you have to get them started on the right foot, and you have to provide the resources that they're going to need to be sustainable and to for their business to last, because we're seeing a lot of them close down, and we're seeing it happen across the country. And I think a lot of that is because people don't really understand what they're getting into, and retail is hard. And it's not just because you open up and you have cannabis that everyone's just going to come and buy, and then you're going to make all this money, and then not take into consideration all of the taxes and all of the things that they have to do as a business owner, and following all the state guidelines.
That makes perfect sense. Now, for our viewers who are watching, we always like to put up a little promo code to help them better enjoy their CWCBExpo experience. So if you are watching along, you will see that there is a code 420, Party 420, that is coming up, which will save you 20% on all of the CWCBExpo after parties. So please use it. It's only valid through this weekend, through 423. So please take advantage of it. You all came out there for your first CWCBExpo last year. What did you think of the show? What were your impressions?
I think the CWCBExpo was great. I think it was really awesome to see the pavilion that was, I think it was Women Grow that headed up the pavilion. I think that was awesome to have those spaces that specifically cater to, women-owned businesses, or just women that are in the industry. I think having more of those things where it's kind of like carved out with these specific areas that may suit just groups of people that have a specific interest in why they're at the expo. I think that's always great. And I think to see more of that, to where people kind of know where to go if they're looking for any specific thing, I think that that's also great. And I love the keynote speakers that were there, and just all of the information that was offered to people. I just think it's a lot of ways to incorporate really like fun things for people to do and engage, and to receive more education, because we realize just how many people don't know. Us that are in the industry, we know, but we have to be talking to the people who don't know, which is why I think it's always great to make sure that the community has the opportunity to come out to these kinds of expos, so that they can know what's going on and how much they want to get involved, whether on the advocacy side, whether as a business owner, or if they just want to work in the industry. So I think the expo is a great opportunity to introduce people to just what all of the possibilities in this industry.
Now, one thing that I always like to ask folks that we have on the show is what brought you to cannabis? And I have always been so amazed by your story and the story of your daughter. Would you be willing to share that with our folks?
Yes, absolutely. So what brought me to cannabis, already being in this space, it just so happened I had a beautiful little girl back in 2018, and my daughter was born with a critical congenital heart defect. And not having any idea that children could be born with congenital heart disease, had no idea the kind of journey that I was going to go on. I just knew that they said she would need multiple open heart surgeries, and she had her first at 3 days old. And then when she went for her second operation, they realized that she was in early heart failure. So she had to get a heart transplant, and she was listed and received her heart transplant on September 25th of 2018. And I started doing a ton of research while she was waiting for an organ, to figure out how cannabis could help her post-op, so that I can get her back to, some sense of normalcy, and understand what her recovery process was going to be like, because they said it would be kind of grueling for her, and that her appetite may be impacted. She had to learn how to do a lot of things all over again. And I saw that the University of South Carolina did a study where cannabis helps to reduce the likelihood of organ rejection. And that was it for me. I said, I'm going to microdose her and figure it out, but I'm going to start using cannabis for my daughter. So I started out with CBD, and then introduced CBG to counteract the possibility of developing cancer from the medication that she has to take, because all transplant patients have to take anti-rejection medications, which suppresses the immune system. So in giving her the CBD and CBG, it definitely helps greatly with her appetite. It also helps with her mood. Neurodevelopment has been great for her, because she unfortunately coded several times before she received her heart, but she's been growing and developing amazing, and she's had zero rejection in the almost 5 years that she's been transplanted, which September 25th this year will make 5 years. So cannabis has been amazing for my daughter. And just seeing that things are the way that they are, this is why it needs to open up federally so that we can do more research and development and discover just how cannabinoids can help when it comes to these types of diseases, because so many children die every year from congenital heart disease.
I would think that just had to be the most terrifying experience. I can't imagine
Absolutely.
relying on myself to do, medical treatment for my child. I mean, how did you even trust yourself to begin there and say, all right, this is the path that we're going down?
Yeah, because you're at a point where you say, you hear what the doctors are saying, and then you're with that child every single day, and whatever you feel is going to help them, you're willing to try anything. Honestly, as a parent, anything that you feel is going to improve that your child's quality of life and keep them healthy, you're going to do it. Like, I don't see any parent that will say no when they discover something could potentially help their child live longer, because once you go into rejection, it's always a 50-50 chance that you could completely reject the organ and need another one. And getting a heart is not easy. It's a process. And it's just one of those things where I said, what do I have to lose at this point? I've already almost lost my child and knew what that felt like. And I didn't want to ever feel that feeling again. So I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to continue to do the research. And I just started out slowly. And thank God there was an amazing company in California, in Humboldt County, that customizes her tinctures and gives her exactly what she needs, because they are very adamant about making sure that children receive cannabis medicine. So I commend every person that's out there doing that, because there are people literally that, like we talked about legacy earlier, that have been doing this for decades, that have been providing cannabis medicine, risking their lives, risking going to jail, because they were trying to provide something that they knew was helping people and that was saving people's lives.
I think it's always amazing when you hear these stories about the community coming together, especially for children, where they know the value of this plant and the medicinal purposes that can really help benefit them. And it doesn't matter who you are, where you're at. Uh, People will step up here and try and help each other.
Right. Absolutely. And I think as education, I cannot stress enough how important education is. In this space, it is really important for us to educate the ones that don't know, to, train the people who are making these decisions, and tell our stories. No one's going to tell our stories like us. No one's going to understand what this is and what this means for people. To have people come up to me and say, thank you for sharing your daughter's story. Thank you for being brave enough to make that decision for your child, because I'm a 2-time cancer survivor, or, I have a, autoimmune disease that cannabis helps with, or I have severe seizures, or my child has severe seizures, and cannabis has been the only thing that's worked. So why take away people's access to something that is changing their life, and that where nothing else is working? Because we're not saying that conventional medicine doesn't work at all, but we also know the risk and complications and side effects that comes with pharmaceutical meds. So, and me being a parent, having gone through that process with her, I know what that's like. I know what it's like to have to discover which side effect it is, and if I need to call her cardiologist and things like that. So if we educate people on what this is and continue to drive the message that this is medicine, regardless of how people are using cannabis, it's all medicine. And that's what we need to build. That's the normalcy we need to build around cannabis, and make it normal. Because as long as people continue to see it as a drug, and people continue to say that it's a drug, then we're going to keep battling this stigma until that changes.
We are approaching 420, and it is 420, so I know that many folks are, very excited to partake in that time. One last question for you, and it's a kind of more related to your brother. We all know him for his music and his films and his love of the plant,
Yes.
in a more recreational sense. And I'm just wondering what his thoughts were when he saw you and your daughter going through all this. Did this change his perspective at all on cannabis?
I think it definitely did a lot, especially when he really had gotten more of the inside of what I was doing, and how I didn't have a blueprint. I didn't have anything to go off of. And he's just like, I can't imagine having to make that kind of decision. And it did help him see it even more, because even for himself, he said, I started to see and understand how much this impacts people medicinally, and then I started to use it in different ways, and I started to discover all the different ways that people can consume cannabis, even aside from smoking, which is something that he'd always done a lot. But now he likes tinctures and the gummies and things like that. He loves the gummies with CBN. That's one of his favorites because when he has a hard time sleeping, he's definitely going to take one of those. But it definitely did shift his perspective, and then even pushed him more to doing this work, because he said, I couldn't imagine being a parent and being denied that or not getting access to it, and in a safe way, because some parents may be desperate enough to say, well, it's all the same, it's cannabis, I can buy it from a gas station or a smoke shop, not understanding that they need to go to a place where it is, it's safe, where they know what's in it, that has a certificate of analysis or COA, to where they know what they're putting in their child's body before that they do. Because if in case something does happen, at least they have a point of contact or someone that they can get to say, hey, my child had a reaction from this product. But if you get it somewhere where you don't have that alternative, then it could be very dangerous.
Well, Sephida, thank you so much for jumping in. I hope you track down your brother. I know he did not mean to leave us.
I'm gonna try to track him down.
It's 420.
This week is
Things
insane
happen
for him. So 420 week is always just madness for him. But of course, if he could be here, he would have been here. But he'll definitely. I'm gonna make sure he makes it up. Okay.
We're looking forward to it. And thank you so much for jumping in and talking to us about your experiences. And for everyone who's watching, don't forget that code Party420, save 20% on your after party for CWCBExpo. And we are so looking forward to having you and your brother back at CWCBExpo in June. And we just can't wait to have y'all there.
Yes, thank you. Always a pleasure. I love you, Gretchen.
Oh, you are too sweet. Thank you so much. And everyone else, please enjoy your 420 on 420.
Yes, I'm heading to an event now.
Thank you, Sephida.
Bye.